Okay, yes, you did piss me off enough to sit down and make a video because, well, it's not like you pissed me off, but anyway, this goes out to my friend Pixel Soulmate, who is he's like the dude, if you're going into jail, I'm not saying he's ever been, I don't know what his jail history is, but I've been to jail. He's the guy going on the bars, so God bless his heart. So his video was, um, okay, God's a woman, or was something along those lines. And so he was positing that, well, if we say that God is a woman, then the devil's a woman too. And I take umbrage with both halves of that sentence. And the reason I do is because I think it's really narrow to think of God as just a man or just a woman. Um, Clearly, when you look at the whole scape of creation and the ways in which everything is interconnected, everything demands either a partner or even a tertiary ingredient or participant or whatever. To think that God is a singular thing is, I just don't think that. I think that when we start to cut down the sides of God, we're making him more like us rather than, what he would like for us to do is to make ourselves more like his son. Um, so there's that. I do use the his and he pronouns for God because that's part of my Christian tradition. I am a feminist, I'm woman all the way. However, I'm not anti-man. Like, I like men. I have a son. My father is a man. My grandmother raised, I think 5 wonderful sons. My brothers are all sons, and they're very good men. I know a number of very good men, and I think that another thing we need to consider when we think about the Bible is, it's coming from an oral tradition that existed for quite some time before the Bible was written. It's coming through to us through a number of different translations. The other thing to keep in mind when we're looking at, the good old Bible, I got a Douay-Rheims here, and I brought my Revised Standard Edition because I wanted to put, okay, so the first half of the sentence is, okay, God is just a female, okay? And so I don't think so. Um, One thing we consider when we look at the Bible is it's come through all these different translations. That's one way of thinking about it. Another way of thinking about it is that it's come through all these different translations, and there's still some really valuable little bits of wisdom in there that if you, well, the way I use the Bible is I pray, right? It's a living document. It's the Word, and we talk about breaking open the Word through prayer. And so it's not a history book. It's not a science book. That's not what it's for. Okay? It is for contemplation. It is for understanding greater truths. And if you read the Bible, you'll find out most people in it are assholes, except for Jesus. So, and he even got pissed. So, but the one thing I wanted to show you here, and this is the Douay-Rheims, the story of creation is actually told twice. Okay? And in the first telling of it, I think we learned something interesting about the nature of God's whatever, candy bag, or, his junk. Let me see. Sorry, because I did have it, but I've got a fan here because I'm in the back room. It says, and God created man to his own image. To the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them, saying, increase and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fishes of the sea, and the fowls of the air, and all living creatures that move upon the earth. God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed upon the earth, and all trees that have in themselves the seed of their own kind, to be your meat. And to all beasts of earth, and to every fowl, blah, 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 blah. The important part is that it says, to the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. I appreciate that in the later story we talk about how Eve comes from the rib of Adam. The way I explain that to my kids is I say, you know what? Out of the initial cycle of creation, the reason that Eve is made out of Adam's rib is so that the man is not left out of the cycle of creation. And I'm sorry, you can't have a baby without a boy. Without, there's a dude involved with that. I mean, you can do it with IVF, but I'm just saying that, men are essential to having children. And so by placing the man there at the story of creation, his essential role is put in without question. Now, certainly later, this is perverted politically to oppress women and men as well, because, if you have to be part of the oppressor group, or let's say you're just identified as part of the oppressor group, you're a nice guy, you don't want to be an asshole, but you're part of this group that insists that you enforce this boundary. That's a kind of oppression as well, and it's hurtful. I know men that find that very hurtful. It says the same thing here in the Revised Standard. And I'll get to the devil in a minute. I'll get to his ass. Because I got a big problem with the devil, I'll tell you what. And here we go again. And I didn't tell you what it was. It's Genesis 26, I guess. Am I seeing chapters? Oh, no, wait. Chapter 1, verse 26. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over the whole earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and of every living thing on the earth. These are distant translations from one another. I think this one is 1609, the Douay Rheims, and this one is looks like 1972 is. Oh no, excuse me. The Old Testament is 1952, is what it says. So that's a fair range of time, and that message still remains that God created us human beings in His image, not this one with a penis, and then I'll get a donut hole for it later. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now back on to the devil. Here's what I've got to say about the devil. Okay, because I've been through hell and back, and the devil's a bit player, motherfucker. He really is. Or it really is. And again, I'm using the he pronoun. In my generation, he, him, and his were considered gender-neutral terms. Now, I think we're going to start moving, like, verbally in modern English, people use they as a singular, genderless third person. And it says, create in our image, perhaps we should be calling God they. However, when I grew up, our Christian tradition, we use he. And to my mind, I don't find that exclusionary at all, in any way. It doesn't bother me at all, because I have this other understanding from, opening and looking at my Bible and saying, and then, don't get me mad. Anyway, back to the devil. Devil's a bit player. He's a cast-out angel, again, just using the gender-neutral term of my generation. And he's a bit player. He's one angel created and condemned by God. One. People often put the devil on par with God, like he's got the same kind of power that God does. He doesn't. Okay, he doesn't. And usually, if you're doing something shitty, and this is the thing Christ will tell you about, the thing you're doing something shitty, you're doing that all on your own. Because you've got free will, and that's the deal coming out of the Garden of Eden, is that, okay, you want to know everything, you want to learn everything, then you go right ahead, but you're going to have to take responsibility and make choices. And I think that comes up to this modern age, and like the whole idea that, don't get me started. Anyway, Those are my words about, is God a woman? No, stop looking up his skirt. You know what I'm saying? I don't think God's genitals, if you can't look at his face, I'm sure you can't look at his genitals. I'm just saying, everybody. So have a very good night, and I love you so much, and try to be good. And please go do watch my friend Pixel Soulmate. He is a wonderful fledgling, although he's, like I said, he's got 4 or 5 times as many viewers as me, and he wants to get 1,000. So if you can subscribe, you could do that. And love you, everybody. Have a really great night, and keep kicking against the pricks. So I love you. Bye bye.